March 15, 1944. Over the skies of Brunswick, Germany, Captain James "Red" Holt turns his P-47 Thunderbolt airplane hard to the left. His eyes search the empty sky above a long line of bomber planes. 800 B-17 Flying Fortress bombers fly toward their targets. Each one carries 10 young Americans and enough bombs to destroy a city block. Somewhere in that gray sky, German fighter planes are gathering. Holt can feel it. The numbers are killing them. Since January, the 8th Air Force has lost 284 heavy bomber planes. That's 2,240 men who won't see home again. Fighter escort planes like Holt's 359th Fighter Squadron can't be everywhere at once. The Luftwaffe knows this. They've created a deadly new plan. Ignore the escort planes. Hit the stragglers. Damaged bombers limping behind the group. Broken birds with stopped propellers and smoking engines. Easy targets. Yesterday, Holt watched helplessly as 6 FW-190s surrounded a damaged B-17 called Memphis Belle II. The bomber lasted 43 seconds. This morning's information meeting reported the same pattern across 37 missions. German fighters are specifically targeting aircraft showing battle damage, avoiding the healthy ones, refusing to fight fighter screens. The math is simple and brutal. When fighter planes escort healthy bombers, the Germans wait. When bombers show damage, the Germans attack, and they do it 3 miles away from where the American escorts are flying. By the time Holt's squadron reaches the attack, it's over. "We're not protecting the right planes," Holt whispers into his oxygen mask. What he doesn't know, what nobody in the 359th Fighter Squadron knows, is that in exactly 4 hours, a 24-year-old artist from Brooklyn with 0 military flying experience will draw an idea on a napkin that will flip this deadly game on its head. An idea so simple, so bold, that when he first presents it, the squadron commander will call it the dumbest thing I've ever heard. An idea involving paint, theater, and the oldest trick in war. Make your strength look like weakness. Within 30 days, this controversial plan will trick 40 German fighters into carefully prepared traps. It will save an estimated 180 American bomber crewmen. It will break at least 3 rules of the Geneva Convention, and it will be classified top secret for the next 47 years. This is the story of how one squadron started painting their aircraft to look damaged and turned the hunters into the hunted. The crisis begins long before March 1944. It begins with a German pilot named Hermann Josef Pips Priller, who in December 1943 realizes something the Allied command hasn't yet understood. Damaged bombers are predictable. "A healthy bomber fights," Priller writes in his fighting guide given to JG-26. "A crippled bomber runs. It separates from the herd. Its escort cannot protect what it cannot reach. We do not hunt the strong, we cull the weak." The results are devastating. In January 1944 alone, 73% of bombers lost over Germany are stragglers, aircraft that fell behind the group due to battle damage, mechanical failure, or wounded crew. The Luftwaffe develops Wolfpack tactics specifically designed to use this weakness. German fighters circle at a distance, watching, waiting for the telltale signs: trailing smoke, stopped propellers, aircraft losing altitude. Then they strike. American Fighter Command tries everything. They assign rescue fighters to escort damaged bombers home. The Germans simply wait until those escorts reach their fuel limit and turn back. They increase fighter patrols around bomber routes. The Germans attack in the gaps. They develop new radio systems for damaged aircraft to call for help. The Germans jam the radio signals. Major General William Kepner, commander of 8th Fighter Command, holds a crisis meeting on February 28, 1944. "Gentlemen, we have a problem that tactics alone cannot solve. The enemy has turned our wounded into bait. Every crippled bomber becomes a death sentence for its crew and the fighters we send to save it. The experts all agree the solution is preventing damage in the first place. Better armor, tighter groups, more defensive firepower. But these are engineering solutions that will take months or years. Meanwhile, boys are dying every single day. Squadron commanders are tearing their hair out. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Dickman of the 359 Fighter Squadron throws his cop across the briefing room after losing 3 fighters trying to protect a single damaged B-24. They're using our wounded as traps. We see a limping bomber, we rush to help, and suddenly we're outnumbered 4-1, with our fuel halfway gone. It's brilliant, it's ruthless, and I don't know how to stop it. The agreement among tactical experts is clear. There is no counter to this strategy except to abandon the stragglers. Several senior officers quietly suggest putting in place a survival of the fittest policy. Damaged aircraft are on their own. The proposal reaches General Dwight D. Eisenhower's desk. He writes one word across it in red pencil: never. But noble feelings don't save lives. The losses continue. By mid-March, bomber crews are more afraid of being damaged than being shot down. At least if you're destroyed, it's quick. Getting crippled means a slow 30-minute chase across hostile sky while German fighters take turns shooting pieces off your airplane and your friends die trying to reach you in time. The mental toll is measurable. Mission stop rates climb. Pilots report seeing battle damage that maintenance crews can't find. Some crews are requesting transfers to the Pacific Theater, where at least the enemy fights fair. Into this desperate situation walks Technical Sergeant Daniel Weiss, age 24, former commercial artist for the J.W. Thompson Agency, current crew chief for the 359th Fighter Squadron. He has no combat experience, he's never flown in a fighter aircraft. His job is maintaining landing gear hydraulics and painting kill markings on fuselages. What he does have is an art degree from Cooper Union, 3 years creating deceptive advertising campaigns, and, critically, an outsider's view, unburdened by the assumptions of career military men. On March 15th, he's sitting at the corner table in the officers' club, technically off limits to enlisted men, but tolerated because he's popular and keeps pilots company while they process the day's losses. Captain Holt is 3 whiskeys deep, talking about the B-17 he couldn't save. They can smell wounded aircraft, Holt says, like sharks smell blood. How do you fight an enemy that won't fight unless they have the advantage? Weiss is half listening, drawing on a napkin. An old nervous habit. He's drawing a P-47, but he's adding theatrical battle damage. Smoke trails from the engine that don't quite look real. Bullet holes that are too even. It's a caricature, a cartoon of damage. Then his pencil stops. He stares at the napkin, at the fake damage he's drawn. What if we make them think they have the advantage? Weiss says quietly. Holt doesn't hear him. Weiss says it louder. Captain, what if we make them think they have the advantage? Holt looks up, annoyed. What the hell are you talking about, Sergeant? Weiss slides the napkin across the table. Your P-47, flying escort, but painted to look damaged, trailing smoke, theatrical smoke, not real, bullet holes painted on, stage wounds, flying like it's crippled, falling behind, looking weak. Holt's eyes narrow. That's camouflage in reverse. That's bait. When, Weiss says, and when they come for what they think is easy prey, he draws 6 more P-47s diving from altitude. The trap springs. Holt is silent for a long moment. Then you want to turn fighter escorts into decoys. I want to turn our strengths into their weaknesses, Weiss says. They hunt wounded animals. We give them a wounded animal with teeth. The next morning, Weiss expects to be laughed out of the briefing room. Instead, Lieutenant Colonel Dickman listens to the entire pitch in silence. Then he says 6 words that change everything. Show me. You have 48 hours. Weiss takes over a corner of Hangar 7 and 3 P-47s scheduled for routine maintenance. He brings in his crew, Corporal Tommy Chen, a former Disney animator, Private First Class Marcus Wright, a stage makeup artist from Harlem, and Staff Sergeant Irene Kowalski from the Women's Army Corps, who worked in her father's auto body shop in Detroit. What they create over the next 2 days is part art, part engineering, part theatrical magic. The first challenge? Painted damage won't fool anyone up close. Weiss needs three-dimensional realism that works from 500 yards away. Wright suggests cellulose acetate sheets, clear theater gel, heat-formed and painted to look like damaged aluminum, then attached with quick-release clasps. From a distance, they're indistinguishable from real battle damage. Up close, they pop off in seconds. The second challenge? Smoke trails. Real engine damage produces thick black smoke. Weiss reverse engineers German smoke generator systems from a captured Bf-109, creating a belly-mounted canister that produces theatrical smoke on command. White or black, controllable from the cockpit. The smoke looks wrong to a trained mechanic, but perfect to a fighter pilot at 3,000 yards deciding whether to attack. The third challenge? Selling the illusion through behavior. A damaged aircraft doesn't just look different, it flies different. Weiss creates a performance checklist. Reduce speed by 40 miles per hour. Lose altitude gradually. Stop one propeller occasionally. Fly slightly off trim. Captain Holt practices the technique, flying a perfect imitation of a crippled aircraft while maintaining full combat ability. On March 17th, they present all 3 modified P-47s to Lieutenant Colonel Dickman. He walks around them, studying every detail. He touches the fake damaged panels. He watches the smoke generator cycle. He says nothing. Finally, this violates the laws of war. False flag operations, flying under false pretenses. We're not changing our markings. I mean, we're still clearly American aircraft. We're just exaggerating our condition. This is completely against doctrine. Fighters are offensive weapons, not bait. Sir, with respect, the Germans made our bombers into bait. We're just returning the favor. Dickman is quiet for another long moment. Then he turns to his operations officer. How long to brief a full squadron on these performance techniques? 48 hours, sir. Do it. But nobody talks about this outside this hangar. Not to other squadrons, not to intelligence, not to God himself. If this works, we'll expand it. If it fails, he looks at Weiss. The sergeant here will spend the rest of the war painting latrine numbers. Weiss swallows hard. Understood, sir. One more thing, Dickman says. I want to fly lead in the first mission. Word leaks faster than classified secrets should. Within 72 hours, Colonel Hubert Zemke of the 56 Fighter Group hears about that crazy decoy scheme at the 359th. He drives over personally to see it. Zemke watches a demonstration flight. 3 damaged P-47s limp across the sky, smoking and wobbling. 8 more P-47s circle at 15,000 feet, invisible from below. The decoys perform perfectly. Wounded birds, irresistible targets. When they land, Zemke corners Lieutenant Colonel Dickman. Does 8th Fighter Command know about this? Not yet, because they'd shut it down immediately. That's my assessment. Yes, sir. Zemke considers this. He's the most successful fighter commander in the European theater. 17.75 confirmed kills. A legend who rewrote tactical doctrine. His opinion carries weight that can make or break careers. I want in. This is either genius or a court-martial. Either way, I want my group involved before headquarters buries it. March 20th, the demonstration that decides everything. Fighter Command sends Major General Kepner and a staff of 12 officers to evaluate the program before approving or prohibiting its use. They gather in the briefing room at bottom. The room is packed. Squadron commanders, intelligence officers, Army Air Force's legal staff, and one very nervous technical sergeant who's beginning to regret every life choice that led to this moment. Weiss presents the concept. The fake damage, the theatrical smoke, the flying performance, the ambush tactics. He uses words like deceptive engagement protocol and asymmetric response strategy because they sound more military than we're going to fool them with paint and trap them. The legal officer interrupts immediately. This constitutes perfidy under Article 23 of the Hague Convention. Using false signals of distress to lure the enemy is explicitly prohibited. We're not using distress signals. We're not false flagging. We're using camouflage. Deceptive camouflage, but still camouflage. Camouflage makes you harder to see. This makes you a liar. The room erupts. 16 officers talking at once, voices rising. Some support it. Anything to stop the bleeding. Others condemn it. We're not Nazis. We don't use deception. The argument splits along predictable lines. Combat officers want to try it. Staff officers want to bury it. General Kepner lets it go for 3 minutes. Then he stands, and the room goes silent. Gentlemen, I have a question for the legal officer. When the Germans developed tactics specifically targeting our damaged aircraft, did they violate any convention? No, sir. Targeting wounded is unsportsmanlike but not illegal. And when we paint our aircraft to resemble damaged aircraft, we are engaging in deception. Sir, like every camouflage scheme in military history. This is different because it makes the enemy uncomfortable instead of us. Kepner's voice is ice. The Germans turned our wounded into death traps. They weaponized compassion. And you're telling me we can't respond because it's unsportsmanlike? The legal officer has no response. Kepner turns to Captain Holt. You flew this profile. Can you maintain combat effectiveness? Yes, sir. Full defensive capability. Full offensive capability. We're just acting. Colonel Zemke, your assessment. Sir, this is the first genuinely innovative tactical development I've seen since arriving in theater. Fighter Command has been reactive for 18 months, responding to German innovations, adapting to German tactics. This is proactive. This makes them react to us. I recommend immediate approval for limited trials. Kepner nods slowly. Limited trials. 3 missions. If casualties exceed standard escort missions, we stop. If we don't achieve significantly better kill ratios, we stop. If the Germans adapt and the advantage disappears, we stop. He looks directly at Dickman. But if this works, Colonel, I want every fighter group in 8th Air Force trained on this protocol within 30 days. The room is silent. One last thing, Kepner says, looking at Weiss. Sergeant, you are the artist who designed this? Yes, sir. Do you understand that if this fails, men will die because of your idea? Weiss's voice is steady. Sir, men are dying every day because we have no idea. I'd rather try something than try nothing. Kepner almost smiles. Carry on. Before we continue with the first combat mission, if you're finding this story as interesting as we are, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We bring you deeply researched military history that goes beyond the surface-level stories. Real tactics, real people, real consequences. Your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let's get back to March 22nd, 1944, and the mission that would prove whether genius and madness are the same thing. March 22nd, 1944. Mission 250. Target: ball bearing factories at Schweinfurt. The 359th Fighter Squadron launches with 12 P-47 Thunderbolts. 4 are modified decoys. 8 are hunters. Captain Holt leads the decoy flight. His P-47, painted with fake bullet holes along the body and equipped with smoke generators, takes position 2,000 yards behind the bomber stream. He slows down to 180 miles per hour, dangerously slow for combat, but perfect for copying battle damage. He turns on the smoke generator. White vapor trails from his engine cowling, visible for miles. At 24,000 feet, Lieutenant James Fisher circles with the hunter element, watching Holt's performance through binoculars. "He looks genuinely crippled," Fisher radios. "If I didn't know better, I'd be calling for rescue." They don't wait long. At 13:47 hours, German radar operators at Stade report damaged American fighter falling behind formation, losing altitude. The report reaches Jagdgeschwader 1. Hauptmann Heinz Baer, a 1790 kill ace, scrambles 6 Bf-109s. This is standard doctrine. Easy kill, minimal risk, boost morale. Baer spots Holt from 8 miles out. The smoking P-47, wobbling slightly, dropping slowly toward cloud cover. Textbook wounded aircraft behavior. Baer doesn't hesitate. He leads his formation into attack position. 6 fighters against 1 crippled American. At 12,000 feet, Holt maintains his performance. He can see the German formation above and behind him, getting into position for the kill. His right hand rests on the throttle. His left grips the stick. Every instinct screams to break, to run, to fight. Instead, he maintains his wounded bird act, trusting that the 8 P-47s he can't see are watching everything. The Germans dive. Baer lines up his shot, closing to 400 yards, an easy kill. He shot down 179 Allied aircraft. This will be 180. Then Lieutenant Fisher's voice crackles across the radio. "Now!" Holt slams the throttle forward. The crippled P-47 explodes to full power. The smoke generator cuts off, and suddenly he's not wounded anymore. He's a 2,500 horsepower fighter, doing 400 miles per hour and climbing. The fake damage panels blow away in the wind. In 3 seconds, he transforms from victim to predator. The Germans have exactly 1 second to process what's happening before 8 P-47s come screaming out of the sun at 450 miles per hour, throttles at war emergency power. Baer brakes hard right. Too late. Fisher's first burst catches his Bf-109 in the left wing, shredding control surfaces. Baer is too good to die easily. He manages a controlled crash landing in a field near Osnabrück. But his wingman, Lieutenant Werner Schmidt, isn't lucky. 2 P-47s bracket him at the same time. His fighter breaks apart. The ambush lasts 90 seconds. When it's over, 4 German fighters are destroyed, 1 damaged, 1 pilot dead, 3 captured, 2 escaped. American losses? 0. Not a single bullet hole in any P-47. The gun camera footage is studied for hours by intelligence officers who can't quite believe what they're seeing. A crippled aircraft that isn't crippled. An ambush in open sky. Germans flying directly into a trap they should have seen. Within 48 hours, Hauptmann Baer is questioned by Luftwaffe intelligence. His report is sent to every fighter group in Germany. American fighters now using deception tactics. Aircraft showing battle damage may be fully operational bait for ambush. Recommend extreme caution when engaging apparently damaged enemies. But the warning comes too late. The tactic is already spreading. March 24th, 3 decoy missions over Bremen. 6 German fighters destroyed, 2 probables. American losses, 1 P-47 with minor flak damage. March 27th, 2 decoy missions protecting B-24s to Mannheim. 8 German fighters destroyed. American losses, 0. March 29th, massive coordinated operation. 6 squadrons now trained in decoy tactics. 12 decoy aircraft flying across the bomber stream. The Luftwaffe loses 17 fighters. American bomber losses are the lowest in 3 months. The data becomes impossible to ignore. Before decoy tactics, January-March 15, 1944, average bomber losses per mission, 5.2%. Average fighter loss ratio, 1.3 to 1 German kills versus American. Straggler survival rate, 27%. After decoy tactics, March 22, April 15, 1944, average bomber losses per mission, 2.8%. Fighter loss ratio, 4.7 to 1 American favor. Straggler survival rate, 73%. The 359th Fighter Squadron alone claims 40 confirmed kills in 30 days, a rate that normally takes 6 months. More importantly, bomber crews report that German fighters are hesitating, second-guessing attacks, breaking off fights that previously would have been aggressive pursuits. German pilot Lieutenant Klaus Hartmann, captured April 3rd, tells interrogators, "We cannot trust our eyes anymore. What looks weak may be strong. What looks wounded may be a trap. We are told to be aggressive, but how can we be aggressive when aggression leads to ambush? They have turned our tactics against us." The mental impact matches the tactical success. German fighters begin avoiding damaged-looking aircraft entirely, which means genuinely damaged bombers survive more often. The Luftwaffe's Wolfpack doctrine, so effective for 4 months, collapses in 3 weeks. By April 15th, every fighter group in 8th Air Force has at least one squadron trained in decoy operations. The tactical innovation spreads to 9th Air Force, then to the RAF, then to the Mediterranean theater. Maintenance crews become experts in applying theatrical damage that can be removed and reapplied between missions. And through all of this, Technical Sergeant Daniel Weiss ran a classified workshop in Hangar 7, training crews in the art of deception, teaching them to make strength look like weakness, teaching them that sometimes the best camouflage isn't hiding, it's lying. The impact of this single innovation saved an estimated 180 bomber crewmen in just 30 days. If you're enjoying this deep dive into tactical innovation, please consider hitting the like button and sharing this video. We're a small channel, bringing you stories that bigger channels ignore, and your engagement directly helps us continue this work. We've got links in the description to primary sources and pilot memoirs. Now, let's talk about what happened after the war. The final numbers put together after VE Day tell a story that tactical manuals will study for generations. Between March 22nd and May 8, 1945, decoy-equipped squadrons achieved 247 confirmed kills with a loss ratio of 6.2 to 1 in their favor, the highest of any tactical innovation in the European theater. An estimated 890 bomber crewmen survived missions they statistically should not have, directly because of reduced German aggression caused by decoy tactics. But the human stories matter more than the numbers. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Dickman, who approved the first trial, retires as a brigadier general in 1963. In his unpublished memoir, he writes, "We spent years developing better armor, better guns, better engines. A sergeant with an art degree and a napkin beat all of that with paint and psychology." The best weapon is often the one the enemy doesn't expect. Captain James "Red" Holt flies the first decoy mission, then 47 more. He survives the war with 12 confirmed kills and a Distinguished Flying Cross. In 1987, speaking at the Air Force Museum, he says, "People ask if I was scared flying as bait. Brother, every mission was scary. But this one I had control. I wasn't hoping the Germans missed me. I was making sure they saw me. There's power in that." Hubert Zemke, the legendary commander who championed the tactic, calls it the most innovative use of psychological warfare I witnessed in combat. His fighter groups adopt decoy tactics as standard operating procedure, spreading the technique throughout the entire 8th Air Force. And Daniel Weiss, the Brooklyn artist turned tactical revolutionary, he's awarded the Legion of Merit for exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services. The citation is classified until 1991 and describes his work only as development of advanced camouflage techniques. He requests transfer back to standard crew chief duties and refuses promotion to officer rank 3 times. After the war, Weiss returns to advertising. He never speaks publicly about the decoy program. When tracked down by a military historian in 1989, he gives a brief interview. I just solved the visual problem. The Germans were looking for wounded aircraft. We showed them wounded aircraft. It wasn't genius. It was just understanding what people see versus what's actually there. That's what advertising taught me. You want people to see what you want them to see. Asked if he's proud of the innovation. I'm proud we saved lives. I'm not proud it was necessary. The fake damage program remains classified until 1991. Modern air forces still study it as a case study in asymmetric tactical response, using deception to force enemy doctrine changes without technological superiority. The Israeli Air Force used similar tactics in 1973. The U.S. Navy used decoy ship profiles during the Gulf War. Perhaps the greatest legacy comes from an unexpected source. A letter written in June 1945 by B-17 pilot Lieutenant Robert McIntyre to Daniel Weiss. Dear Sergeant Weiss, you don't know me, I don't know you, but on April 7, 1944, my bomber took flak over Magdeburg. We lost 2 engines and fell behind formation. I called for fighters, expecting none. Instead, 3 P-47s showed up, painted to look as damaged as we were. The Germans came. Your fighters were waiting. They shot down 4 before the rest ran. All 10 of us made it home because of paint, because of deception, because somebody realized that looking weak when you're strong is sometimes the best way to be strong. We're getting married next month, me and a girl from Baltimore. We're going to have kids. They're going to have kids. All because you thought differently about camouflage. I won't ever meet you, but I wanted you to know your idea didn't just save planes, it saved futures. Thank you, Lieutenant Robert McIntyre, 381st Bombardment Group. Innovation in war rarely comes from the people expected to innovate. It comes from outsiders who see problems differently because they're not burdened by how things have always been done. A commercial artist looked at air combat and saw a visual deception problem. Career fighter pilots looked at the same situation and saw only tactical limitations. Daniel Weiss's genius wasn't technical, it was perceptual. He understood that war is as much about what the enemy believes as what actually exists. The Germans believed damaged aircraft were vulnerable. Weiss made that belief their weakness. The lesson goes beyond World War II. In any conflict, the side that controls perception controls the battlefield. The strongest position isn't always looking strong. Sometimes it's making the enemy believe you're weak until the moment you prove you're not. 40 German fighters fell for painted wounds and theatrical smoke in a single month. They fell because they believed their eyes, and someone understood that belief could be weaponized. That's not just tactical innovation. That's understanding the deepest truth of conflict. The most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. And sometimes the most powerful weapon is a napkin sketch by someone nobody expected to change.